Management has an overview of all areas. If you look at how human beings function through organizational behavior and human resources, understand how financial systems are built, moving on to how operations function in an organization. Now, operations and IT is one of the few specializations that graduate engineers look forward to studying in their MBA program. Today, there are newer specializations that are available with an MBA program. You have areas in corporate social responsibility, you have areas in sports management, you have areas like sustainability also that are included in a management program today in courses that are available in India itself. You also have the added advantage for students who want to dedicate their lives to understanding management systems a little better right after class 12. You not only have an MBA program that addresses this, you also have integrated BBA and MBA programs right from class 12 who want to get into colleges like an IIM Indore or a Bodh Gaya or a Jammu or a Ranchi that offers a 5-year integrated program through an IP-MAT or a JIP-MAT entrance test. Whether you're looking at helping students who love numbers and want to get into commerce, or whether you're looking at students who want to get into management, you would find a variety of career options available on the career portal that talk about the eligibility criteria, the kind of courses that are available, the kind of pathways that one could look at, and the competencies that are required to be able to do well in this space. It's important that we encourage our students to continuously read and research on the portal to understand what are the areas that they need to work on so that they can find a successful career in this space. Now, alongside all of these options, we had discussed a little earlier about how we need to look at the future to understand what type of career options to suggest to our students. Now, some of these courses are available today. We can see them on the portal. Some of these options may not be available today, but as long as we're giving the students enough opportunities for self-awareness, for exploration, they should be able to figure out what are the different opportunities that could line up if they choose to go down a certain pathway. It's important that we as career counselors and guides do our own research regularly. And of course, we're always open to better feedback on how we could improve this portal.
Moving to the next specialization in sales and marketing. If I type the word sales in the search option here, you should be able to see a wide variety of options that are directly linked to the sales and marketing domain. Students can pursue this from both areas of professional courses and even vocational courses. But to be able to reach the level of a sales manager, typically an MBA is preferred. So we'll look at sales manager as an option right now. Now, given that most organizations require sales and marketing departments, it is one area which has a higher amount of scope in terms of work and opportunity. Now, students can typically look at pursuing sales and marketing from any discipline, from any combination of subjects in 11th and 12th. They could pursue an undergrad in any discipline at the bachelor's degree, and then go on to pursue a post-graduation in business administration, an MBA program or equivalent. They could pursue an undergrad degree in business administration or BBA, or BMS, which is business management studies, or BBS, business studies, and then go on to pursue a PG in business administration or equivalent courses. So branding, public relations are quite related to each other, which is why in mass communication as well, when we were discussing public relations, it could also be one of the careers that could open up from the sales and marketing space. Looking at the specialization areas, now here are a few specialization areas in sales and marketing itself. Moving on to the job opportunities, it states here how a student who would be interested in selling products, who is really good at persuading people, good at communication skills, should do well. You should be able to see that in more detail in the competencies required section, where one needs to be enterprising, conventional, apart from, of course, being social, because a thorough understanding of how customers think, how they purchase products is very, very useful in this space. So communication skills, active listening, coordination, critical thinking, persuasion skills are all very important areas to look at. So students tend to have an idea of what they can expect from this space. Looking at the kind of work activities, which would be involving selling, communicating with co-workers and others, coaching and developing products, branding them. Now under branding, The core function is to be able to creatively tell a story about the product that is created at any organization. Now, organizations can either choose to have an in-house sales and marketing department that also caters to branding, or they could outsource their branding related work to media and marketing organizations. So organizations that work in advertising spaces as well work very closely with sales and marketing systems. We shall now discuss the next specialization under management, finance manager. It is one of the most sought after areas in management itself, given that it has far reaching implications and the scope of work is quite wide. Now, students from any scheme of studies in 11th and 12th can pursue a bachelor's in commerce, accountancy, financial accounts, or any other similar course which would involve numbers. Post which one can do an MCom and M accountancy, a master's in finance, or an MBA finance as well. Now, typically there are multiple pathways here. There is one pathway that talks about how to get into finance through the CA course. It gives you the entire structure of the CA program here. Then you have another option which talks about how to get into MBA finance or the finance field through a BBA and then an MBA or a PGDM in business administration. One could also pursue the ICMAI course, which is also known as the Institute of Cost Accountants India. And one could also do it through the CFA program, which is a Chartered Financial Analyst. Now, the monthly earnings for finance managers are really high, and it is perhaps one of the highest paid areas under management itself. Now, typically, students who are good with numbers can find themselves working in this space. So, if you have students who like mathematics, who like accountancy, these could be indicative of their proficiency in finance. However, it is always important to remember their interest areas as well when recommending such courses and such career pathways. Now, the various specialization areas like financial analyst, financial manager, international finance manager, and financial economist are all mentioned here in detail. One could read the specialization areas in a little more detail to understand them better. The educational requirements are between 17 to 18 years, where it is preferred that someone has completed their master's or an postgraduate diploma program in order to pursue more career options in this space. The kind of job opportunities available will be revolving around understanding and crunching of numbers. And at the beginning of your career, you typically start a job as a commercial accounts executive or a junior analyst. You could also be a management trainee after one has completed the chartered accountancy program. So financial accounting, management accounting, financial analysis, corporate financial management, risk management, management of taxation are all specialization areas that one could dive into deeper. There's a lot of information here to read. I will not be reading them out in detail. However, it's important that students take the time to understand these elements to be able to pursue them better. We will move on to the competencies required, where one needs to be enterprising, conventional, and social. Meaning enterprising, like I mentioned in the previous careers as well, is someone who is good at managing people, good at persuading people, for which it is basic that communication skills are important. Conventional areas where one could work with repetitive tasks or routine tasks with set structures. Social, because it's important to be comfortable in a social setup that is involving helping and assisting of others and communicating with people on a regular basis. A student will need to have deductive reasoning, flexibility of closure, inductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning would mean to apply general rules and common logic to specific problems and to produce answers that are logical and make sense. Inductive would mean to combine pieces of information from various sources, from concepts, and to form general rules or conclusions. Apart from that, of course, numerical reasoning, interpersonal skills are very important as well. The work activities are enlisted here. Now, these are typically the work activities that a junior level or a fresher level employee would be looking at. So it is recommended that students read through all of this to understand them better. But please remember, while finance is a very sought after career because of its high pay, it is typically done better by students who are comfortable with numbers. So math becomes a very, very important subject criteria to be able to pursue this space. Sports management. This is an option that I have seen more and more students being interested in. So which is why we want to discuss this option. Now, typically for all the students who are interested in sports, unfortunately, not many of them will be able to find a footing as a professional sports player. However, there could be ancillary careers in sports itself that could be linked to another academic space. For example, if you look at sports psychologists, if you're interested in psychology and have an interest in sports, you could find an intersection between the two. Sports manager could also be something like that. Sports management is around handling players during events, managing events around sports, ensuring that the event runs smoothly, and all the other ancillary functions around it. Sports managers typically manage talent, like athletes, and find endorsements, manage those endorsements for them, and in some ways are also responsible for all the other subsidiary earnings that athletes have outside the sport as well. So students could find this exciting, given that a lot of students who like sports do not like to sit in one place for an extended period of time. So desk jobs don't excite them too much. So sports or events manager could be something that they could pursue. Today there are BBA courses in sports management as well. And even if one hasn't studied BBA, one could take in undergraduation in any discipline and then post that pursue a postgraduate in business administration like an MBA and then get into sports. However, in India, most of the sports management organizations do not have an educational qualification requirement or an eligibility criteria in that sense. While they have multiple departments, they prefer to choose individuals with expertise in that specific domain. However, for students who are genuinely interested in sports and could see themselves working in managerial positions where they're handling such events, where they're ensuring that events run smoothly and they're managing talent like their athletes, pay through endorsements and other activities. All of these factors could be something that students could look forward to. You could read them in the portal. The monthly earnings rise sharply because there is a lot of scope in this space. Given that sports has been given more and more focus over the last few years, we have more tournaments around various types of sports and not alone cricket right now. You could find recreational sports managers, sports marketing managers, event managers, facility managers, and other specializations as well. Now, all of these areas typically are handled by a few number of people. And of course, there could be more and more scope that could be found here. Now, looking at the educational requirements, the number of years of experience required is between 15 to 18 years. We could look at a couple of people who have pursued this career. So students can look them up as a role model and find their journeys to understand what their journeys were like. The type of job opportunities and the type of students with special needs that could apply here are mentioned here very clearly. Now, typically in sports clubs, in football clubs, they could find some kind of work in. There could be international sports management organizations that they can work in. There could be tournament-based requirements as well. For example, the IPL. Wherever there is an event like this, stadiums have to be prepared for them. They could, when we say prepared, we mean elements like lighting, like seating, ensuring tickets are actually printed on time, payment gateways are made, ensuring that the crowd that comes into the stadium or the supporters that come into the stadium are ushered in through various gates, and there are various structures in place so that they are able to find their locations as well very well. So sports managers typically are people who spend most of their time on their feet. They spend most of their time with their athletes as well. And here you would find the job profile mentioned very clearly. Looking at the key roles and responsibilities, as a sports manager, you could be working with a sports team, you could be working with facilities management, you could be responsible for sponsors, for kits, for PR activities, for interviews, for press releases. for ensuring that there is social media presence as well. So a lot of sports managers manage the Twitter handles for sports players. The competencies required are mentioned here. So one needs to be enterprising or a good persuader and communicator. One could have an interest in conventional areas, meaning following a certain pattern when doing work. And one definitely needs to be social and interactive and have a certain set of communicative skills or communication skills. So the skills and knowledge, the attributes are also mentioned here in detail. And this certainly could be one option that students can look forward to. Now, keeping that in mind, sports management is one such example of a crossover career. Similarly, like I mentioned earlier, sports psychology, sports medicine are also other areas where one could find an interest in psychology or an academic area like psychology and find an intersection in sports. One could find an interest in life sciences or biology and find an interest in sports and combine them together. Students who love maths and like sports can look at sports analysis. Design students as well can look at sports related and apparel design as well. So there are various areas that one could find themselves working in. So this could be something which I mentioned earlier, that students can look at an intersection between their hobbies and an academic area to find a very niche space that they could work in.